Yo, what's poppin', all my peeps? It is I, your host with the most renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back for another episode of the Gillette Gazette. And I'm joined, as always, by the man who's pretty fly for a science guy, the doctor of patriotonomics, Soor. Soor, what's poppin', my dude?
How's it hanging, guys? It's things are going well. I've got some NBA playoffs going on right now. Enjoying, appreciating how much worse all of these other teams are than the Celtics.
Yeah, I got some hockey on. We got the Sixers because we got my peeps down in the underground that we have to represent.
No, none of that here.
Well, I just want to check in. You see the thing to be a champ. You got to be knowing what's going on. So I got to stay intact with who we might be playing in the next round. So I'm doing my research there. And I thought, Soor, let's have a special guest join us in the Yard of Streams this week for the Gazette. She is the best of the West you can't forget about. Also my co-host and friend who I do the Pitts and Sarah Wrestling podcast with. It is Sarah Marshall. Sarah, what's poppin'?
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo, to you too.
It's been a while since that made me smile. Well, super happy. It just made me super happy, so.
That's what the heyo is from. Okay.
Yes, the Bay. Excuse me, Scott Hall. R.I.P.
The bad guy.
R.I.P. But he is, he was one of my childhood crushes, and it's one of those things that I would like to understand why. But he's one of my all-time faves. So anyway,
we love it.
Yeah,
we love to start that out. And I'm happy you joined us today because we have been doing a lot of wrestling talk, which I love. And Soor, getting you in the mix with this wrestling, oh my god, it's nice to have. I feel like I've converted you into a wrestling fan. We started with the WWE, and I'm gonna try to work my AEW magic in there with you at some point. But let's just stick with that right now. But as I was saying, we're all wrestling. We have not been really talking about the Pat, Sarah, and obviously, the champ of the peeps, Patriot peeps specifically. I got to come and address my peeps every Thursday at 8. That is our new time on the Stadium Rant YouTube channel. Thursdays at 8 after Sarah and I record our wrestling pod. So yeah, I'm doing double duty, but that's what a true champ does. So mark it on your calendars, do whatever you got to do. Follow us, hit that subscribe button, and then also hit Sarah's YouTube channel, that subscribe button there for all the wrestling stuff as well. Because, get the best of both worlds. But I want to start off. Soor and I had a little plan of attack, Sarah, that we're going to do that I shared with you, talking about, I would say, an infamous player on this podcast. But we kind of have some news as I was leaving the fish pier. Ding dong, Patricia's gone, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that you said plan of attack because this guy had no plan of attack. None whatsoever.
That is true. It's funny because I just wrote about Joe Judge and how Cam Accord was like, oh, he's going to be working with special teams and whatever. And in the article I just mentioned, most people were hoping to see both him and Patricia gone, but both at that time were still. Remy, are you serious right now? Okay. Anyway, let's hope that's the end of her.
Remy making interference too?
Already. We're not even 5 minutes in and she's already disrupting me. Anyway, and at the time, Matt Patricia was still a part of the team and people were like roasting me. They were like, no, he's not. And I'm like, he is though. He's still around. So news today comes out that at first it seemed like it was going to be a late April Fool's joke because ESPN reporter was like, oh, he's listed on the website. And then he was like, LOL, just kidding. It was deleted. And so they had to wait to get the confirmation from Sirianni. So yes, he will be going back to the defensive side of the ball, which, I can't completely fault him for that. I know people are sick of Patricia, but I feel like you kind of can't deny that he was good defensively for quite a while with the Patriots. So if he's going to go back to what he knows best, then the Eagles might be in a better position for that. But we shall see.
I mean, absolutely. I think in the midst of how horrible the offense played last year because of him, let's not forget how many years of prolific defenses we've had. This is a guy that's been learning and developing under Belichick for so much time, and he's going to an Eagles team that, if you watch the Super Bowl at all, you can tell that they desperately needed a defense. It was just the utter lack of inability to stop the Chiefs in the second half, which made any lead seem, very trivial and very easy to come back from. And it was everything. It was on the ground. It was through the air, receivers, tight ends, what have you. There was really no part of the defensive game plan that the Eagles were dictating. And it was like the Chiefs could just use the same play again, throw to Kelsey down the middle. And the Eagles had no answer whatsoever. And so when you talk about that kind of strategic game planning, anybody in the Belichick tree, that's kind of their specialty. That being said, and I think, in a way, I think it's a good thing for both teams. I think the Eagles needed a guy like that, and I think the Patriots needed to get rid of a guy like that.
Yeah. And Belichick didn't want to pay him. So, because I don't know if people realize that the reason why he probably was around for the last 2 years was because he was still under contract with the Lions. The second that they stopped paying for him, Belichick's like, all right, well, I'm not paying you to keep you. And it's the same thing with Joe Judge. He's probably going to be gone next year after his contract with New York runs out. So, but again, Joe Judge going to special teams, that's a good thing. Special teams has basically sucked, ironically, since he left to go to the Giants. So, I think this is a good move. But, with the article that I wrote today, I specify in it, too, that you have to remember last year wasn't completely on Patricia's shoulders. Was he a huge contributor to it? Yes, but we can't excuse Belichick. We can't excuse Joe Judge. We can't excuse these other people that were involved in the offense's mess too. This is just one cog that's now gone that we won't have to worry about for next year.
Right.
Yeah. And to me, the Eagles needed a guy like that. I'm talking with Kyle and in the underground, that was the biggest issue with the Eagles team this year was that Jonathan Gannon just was not the right fit for that defensive coordinator role. And if there's one thing that I will praise Patricia on because of the Belichick coaching tree, it is being able to adjust at halftime. And, he is good in that role. To me, that it just seems like the Eagles just needed anybody who has a defensive background and a couple Super Bowl hardware to go with it. So that is an added element to it. And they have a talented defense. You know what I mean? Like, they have Hassan Reddick. They brought Bradbury back. There's a couple other guys too, whatever. I can't think of it right now. But the point is that there's talented guys around there, similar to what he's had before. I think it's a good fit for him, and it gets him the hell away from New England because there's just no need for Matt Patricia in this next chapter of New England Patriots football.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think you saw moments, right, when in the Eagles playoff run, like moments of brilliant defense, just brilliant individual moments from players. And what was lacking was that kind of cohesion. And if you took a look at an Eagles depth chart right now, you wouldn't be able to understand by looking at the roster why the defense wasn't good. And so it's that. But I feel like at the same time with New England, their defense is in better hands already, and you just don't need that perspective of Patricia anymore. You definitely don't need him within 10,000 feet of the offense, but even on the defense, you've kind of got that covered. You've got kind of a savant when it comes to coaching linebackers in Gerard Mayo, and you've got a guy that's kind of been becoming slowly a good big picture defensive guy in Steve Belichick, and you've got a lot of good assistants around him. And so why the defense was really good without Matt Patricia being involved on that side of the ball last year. Mm-hmm. So and the offense was not when he was involved. So let him do well elsewhere. And so, I'll thank him for his contributions, and I'll thank the Lord that he's gone.
Thank the Lord above. I mean, it's nice to finally have that chapter be closed, Patricia New England, because it felt like for a while that was just like, You know when there's someone like either in your friend group or a coworker or whatever, that family member that like you have that family party or you have that family gathering and everything's going great. It's like, oh, I hope they don't show up, and it's just like it's that's what Patricia is. That's what Patricia is to the Patriots right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I can't deal with it anymore, and it's nice to see him go, but there is somebody that just won't go away. Sarah, I don't know if you're familiar with our, we'll say, affair with one Miles Bryant. He is not really the most well-liked person around these Gazette gates. And guess what? You probably actually wrote about it, Sarah. Miles Bryant's back.
Yeah. I'm a neutral party on Miles, so I guess I can kind of balance the scales here today.
That's what I like. See, that's why we to balance it out, because Soor and I don't really have a lot of nice things to say, so I'll let someone else start out before I burst. Because like, what are we doing? Why do we bring him back?
Depth. I think that's basically it. Because he does whatever they ask him to do. He has moments where he can be really good. There's moments where he is extremely bad. But I think that they're planning on bulking up the secondary in general. So I don't think that he's going to be a guy that's going to get starts. Like he had 6 starts last year. I think that was just because of the situation that they were in and the injuries that they were dealing with. I don't anticipate that he's going to have this massive role where we're going to be sitting here and being like, oh, Miles Bryant again. Like, I think he's going to be a fall guy. It's like, okay, Jalen Mills gets hurt, maybe. Like, Jonathan Jones gets hurt, maybe you bring him in. But I think they put him on wasn't it a restricted free agent contract or something? So it was like he was going to come back anyway. That's the thing, is like you had to expect it. There were not going to be teams clamoring to sign Miles Bryant. So he was coming back and he's cheap. It's not that bad. He's young and, worst case scenario, he gets a few plays in, but backup. Just a backup piece. I think that's where we have to just like keep our head, because you guys are not the only ones who are not on the Miles Bryant fan train. It's basically 99% of Patriots Twitter. I'm the outlier that's like, I think he can be okay, but that's like how I am with everything, and that's why people hate me on Patriots Twitter. So
you're a heel.
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important that someone provides an objective opinion on him, because honestly, like I can't count the number of articles that have that I've written slandering Miles Bryant with my hands, and
most people do though. So I mean, you're preaching to what everybody is already saying. So,
and in reality, looking back at it, it really is like an individual slip up here, a bad read there. Like he has the experience, he has the general athleticism and aptitude for the position in theory to be a good corner, but I think it was just too many mistakes that cost the Patriots critical moments. And if they're not planning on putting him on the field, that's one thing. But I and to be fair, a lot of the playing time he got last year was before Marcus Jones really rounded out into his position, among other things. Jack as well. And so, it's good to have a depth piece, but I hope that is all that there is to this. And because, the Patriots do have a bit of a depth issue at cornerback, and they also, you don't want to have you don't want to have just your 2 rookies and a couple other guys. You want to have a nice rounded out room. And so that's where I can see Bryant's value.
Yeah.
So objectively, I see it. Subjectively, there have just been too many awful moments that have been precipitated by Bryant, and one of his roles, punt returner, obviously he's had that taken away from him very, very thoroughly, and so now all he really is a depth piece at corner, and I guess I can't say for sure whether I would prefer him over Shaun Wade or not. I haven't seen enough of Wade.
Yeah.
But along with Sean Wade, that's kind of where I see Miles Bryant at his level. I don't see him distancing himself away from the guys that are on the precipice of the roster battles.
Yeah, I think what I'm most interested in is to see how it develops because of Marcus Jones, because he was very adamant when he spoke to the media, I don't know if it was like at the end of the season or what, about how he's like a cornerback first, like he's not a returner, he's a defensive guy. So I don't know how much of influence he's going to have over where Belichick puts him, because it's a little difficult to be like, yeah, we drafted you as a cornerback, but you're really good as a returner, and we're not going to put you there because you don't want to be there. Like, I don't know how that's going to go. I'm glad that Jack Jones is back, because I think he showed like he could be amazing. And that was his rookie season. So I'm glad that suspension was lifted and everything seems fair there. Plus, we know that they're going to prioritize cornerback in the draft. I mean, there's already rumors that they might be going corner in the first round. If not first, it's definitely going to be early second, third. So if they're going to be using the rookie that they bring this year, plus they have Marcus Jones, Jack Jones, Jonathan Jones being back, possibly moving Jalen Mills to safety, that's definitely moving Miles Bryant further down. So I don't think he's going to be a big concern. At least I hope not, because I agree. There were moments where it was like, oh, it was Miles Bryant. Like, of course it was Miles Bryant. But yeah, I'm thinking he's more of a depth piece, and who knows if he lasts the summer. Maybe he doesn't. I think people are just upset. I mean, I get it, but it's still April. Yeah. It's like April 20th. Like, calm down.
420.
I think it's interesting that you bring up the draft, because there are a lot of people that have been talking about the Patriots potentially taking a corner in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am not a fan of that. Not because I don't think the Patriots could use another corner, but I feel like they have already 4 good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have four good cornerbacks, and nobody that I would truly call a very good right tackle. I mean, Reif and Anderson are an improvement on who we originally had, but you've got guys like Anton Harrison and Peter Skronsky and Broderick Jones waiting for you in that first round. That's a big opportunity to change your team in a big way. If you're not going to get, Mr. D-Hop, and we'll discuss that whole thing later, then maybe think about a guy like JSN or Quentin Johnston. And, it's just, I see these positions of greater need that didn't perform to their capacity. And I hear rumors that the Patriots are considering prioritizing a position that did perform at a very high level last year. And it just confuses me. If either of y'all can make sense of that a little bit.
I personally don't think they'll go corner in the first round. It's unlikely that who they want. I mean, basically it's been between Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon. I don't know that either of them are going to make it out of the top 10 anyway. I am leaning more towards they go with tackle or a receiver, whether they move back or not. But all 3 of their top priority positions are pretty deep. Like, even if they're not going to find necessarily, because of course everybody's talking about how the receiving class this year is not very good and there's not a true wide receiver 1 there. Obviously that's subjective, but there are good receivers that they could get in the second round or later. There's good corners that they could get in the second round or later. There's even tackles that they could, but the tackles was just so inconsistent last year, over the last couple years. And I think that should be their priority. So I'm hoping that that's what they do in the first round. As much as I would love, to see a Zay Flowers or something, because, he is the Boston guy, I'm not going to be mad about it necessarily. But I think that the offensive line is something that people kind of underestimate the importance of. And with the offense struggling as bad as it was last year, it wasn't just coaching. It wasn't just Mac Jones being injured and then not being injured and then not seeing the field, whatever. It's like the offensive line protection was absolute crap last year.
Garbaggio.
And and it's important because I had said it before that a lot of the offensive success comes from the protection of the line, whether it's for your quarterback, whether it's for your receivers, whether it's for your running backs. So if you can get a top guy at 14, or even trading back, with people were talking about the Chargers at 21, something, Do something. Right. I think that you're exactly right. The cornerbacks, they can get a good guy in the second round. Like people are talking about Tyreek Stevenson is his name? People have been saying in the second round, or Riley Moss is another guy that people thought maybe second or third rounder. So yeah, go tackle in the first round and worry about the other stuff later, because they're fine. I mean, if you're talking about one of your starting corners from last year switching positions this year, then I think that's probably not a position you need to worry about in the first round.
No. Yeah. I mean, receivers are an interesting position group, because it's kind of hard to extrapolate how people are going to do from college, especially, a lot of people are talking about JSN. It's hard to tell with Ohio State receivers because they are in just such a perfect offensive system. And obviously he had, CJ Stroud throwing to him, and before that, Justin Fields. Like, you're gonna put up good numbers. And I do feel like there are guys that performed really well that are sneakily in like the second, third round picture. Jalen Hyatt comes to mind. He's a guy that when I watched this season, I was very surprised that he was projected as low as he was. And I feel like that's a steal opportunity for the Patriots. And it's this whole thing. The biggest gaping hole that you could see with the Patriots last year offensively was that constantly on one of the two edges, someone was getting through. And more often than not, it was the right edge. And so there's an obvious solution to that. Get a better right tackle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm with you. 100. And I feel like that's where most people are getting at, but people are just so in love with receivers. But I think people put so much weight on being a first rounder. And I just think, it's like, it's great for the player, obviously, because you can always say, but it doesn't indicate how good you're going to be in the NFL. Like, how many first rounders have we seen completely bomb? How many first overall picks have we seen bomb? Exactly. So as much as we love the receivers and people think that, you need to get a first rounder, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, especially look at our history. Julian Edelman was our wide receiver one. Was he a first round pick? No.
And who was the last
even a wide receiver?
No. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, these are guys that turned out to be megastars on the Patriots, and they weren't first rounders. But like, I feel like as Patriots fans, we should be more okay with that. Our quarterback was a 6th rounder, guys. Like
199 mofos.
It's just kind of silly.
And guess who was a first rounder at wide receiver? N'Keal Harry.
Oh yes, that's.
Don't you? That's like Voldemort in these parts, man.
Well, that was the last time the Patriots took the decision to draft a receiver in the first round,
and it's the only time under Belichick too. So
and they shouldn't. And based on that, until Belichick retires or passes away, whichever of the two happens first.
I don't know which is going to happen first. Literally,
he should not draft another receiver in the first round, ever.
Yeah.
Which, you know what they should do, Soor? They shouldn't draft a receiver. And Sarah.
Okay.
You know what they should do? They should go to where you are, Sarah.
No.
And they should go and take the nuke. Take DeAndre Hopkins.
No.
Trade for him.
Nope.
What are we doing?
I'm on a different train.
Yeah.
I'm on a different train. I'm off the D-Hop train. I've been off the D-Hop train.
All right.
Well, D-Hop is we'll talk about this later.
You know what? I'll lead into this. So D-Hop. Actually, sorry. You were gonna say. I'll let you. Let the champ.
I am on the D-Hop train, but if D-Hop is not on the D-Hop train, then it doesn't matter who else is on the D-Hop train. Mm-hmm. You saw this video where D-Hop was faced with 4 teams and he had to say yes or no to two of them, and he said yes to the Chiefs and Bills and no to the Pats and Jets. I mean, and it broke my heart, honestly. Like I really wanted. I really wanted him, and even though I've known for at least a month that it's not going to happen, I definitely. It's, you can even extend this further into the Patriots need to be working harder in the offseason than they normally have to do in the Brady era, because this is no longer a gimme, like, obvious place for free agents to want to come. Now, it's still attractive to some people, especially people that are fond of Belichick in the Patriot way in general, and all of that stuff. But this is no longer I want to go play with Brady and Belichick and win a championship with them. And so I'll take some less money and let's make it happen. Let's bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the takeaways from this.
Yeah, and my immediate thought was he wants to go to a contender. Hence why he chose the Bills and why he chose the Chiefs, because he wants to win a ring. He's getting up there in age. He's 31. He wants to go to a place where he thinks that gives him a straight path to the Super Bowl. So that's the thing that's a little tricky is there was the rumors that he wouldn't want to go to the Patriots because of Bill O'Brien, which is still possible, but you couldn't really tell from this little clip if that's what it is. I think it was more about being on the championship path, but I question that when you're talking about the Bills, but that's okay. It's anti-AFC East. I'm sorry. I just can't. But anyway.
I don't think the Bills are Super Bowl winners this year, so I'll stay with you on that.
It just scares me to think what the Bills could become offensively with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
but this is the thing. This is the thing. I'm already irritated about it because if the Bills were to get DeAndre Hopkins, I would be like, how much help does Josh Allen need? How much help does Josh Allen need?
There you go. Spin it.
Well, exactly. You have Stephon Diggs, brother.
Now
you have one of the best receivers in the league. You need two of them. You need two.
He has steps behind him.
Well, because
Davis is good. McKenzie's good. Shakira is good. Knox is good.
Yeah, they got Damian Harris. They have Cook's brother. I forget what his name is. What's
James.
His first name? James Cook. Like, they're crazy good. They got most of their defensive players back that were going to free agency, which I'm still confused because they were like way over the cap, but they figured it out.
The cap is
it's not fake. We don't call it fake. Pat's cap says no. We don't say that. We respect Miguel, so we don't do that.
Well, we respect things in New England.
But anyway, yeah, I would just question that just because the Bills fans like to rile up Patriots fans. Would I be like, tell me the last time, if ever, when Brady had two of the top receivers at the same time? Just whatever. It was never a thing.
We had Moss
for one season with Brady, basically the 2007 season. But who was the other top receiver that he had that in 2007?
Wes Welker.
Was he at the top of the league?
Top of New
exactly.
Hearts, let me tell you that.
Because then this is the thing. People like to rewrite history, right? They're like, well, you guys had Edelman and Gronk and Amendola. I'd be like, which of your teams was begging to have Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola? Please tell me.
It was Danny Amendola after his prime with the Rams. It was Gronk in an inconsistent situation where he wasn't there. I mean, the revisionist history is amazing.
And that's the thing is like, then all these Bills fans were coming out in droves being like, we got Damian Harris. We got a good one. I'm like, you guys talked a massive amount of crap about him when he was on the Patriots, saying he was a fumbler, that he sucked. He lost his job to a rookie, all of this. And now he signs with you guys and you're like, we got a good one, guys. We're to the chip now. Like, you guys are, stop it.
Is he really going to improve that run game? Like all that, like, and not even that. Let me rephrase that because I don't want it to sound like I'm coming on him. I'm trying to base this question around the Bills' offense rather than Damian Harris. Like the Bills' offense for so long has been just Josh Allen, pass it. You're gonna run it on first and second to just kind of move the clock, whatever, and then you're gonna obviously go pass it. So is Damian Harris into that offense really going to make them more of a run team, or is he just like a guy in the offense who plays running back?
I don't think he's going to make them like a good running team necessarily, but they basically didn't have anybody because Singletary was bad. They did get Nyheim Hines, but like, I mean, like he very well could have stayed with the Colts, but they got rid of him. And at that point, the Bills were just looking for somebody that was competent, and he didn't play badly, but he's definitely not like a number one guy, hence why he fell behind Jonathan Taylor. So, It is what it is. But Damian Harris, I think, adds a more experienced, capable running back that they can rely on, that gives them somebody that's not Singletary. But Josh Allen was just talking about as he gets older, he's going to have to change his game and he's not going to be able to be running around and diving and doing this and doing that, which is very smart because you can't be Lamar Jackson until you're 38. You can't be Cam Newton until you're 38. So if Josh Allen is going to try and adapt his game and maybe stop running, that allows them to open up the run game. That allows them to hand the ball off to Damian Harris. And Damian is going to be running extra hard against New England. So I'm not looking forward to that, but
no, not at all.
I did want to say I'm off the D-Hop train, although I was at the game where the whole viral clip went around, of them having their their love affair. Yeah, I was there. I didn't see it, but I was there, so I was all in. I was like, give up everybody for DeAndre Hopkins, but I might be crazy, but I am sticking to the T. Higgins train to the New England because Cincy ain't gonna be able to pay for that man. There is no way in hell they're gonna be able to pay Joe Burrow. As all these contracts for quarterbacks keep coming out, we just saw the Jalen Hurts one. His contract is great though. Shout out to him and his agent for doing such a team-friendly deal as far as how much he's making each year, because they're doing it the right way. The Chiefs ain't doing it the right way, because eventually we're going to be seeing Patrick Mahomes getting $50 million a year, and it's like, that's cool. That's going to help you keep a really good team. So if Joe Burrow's that type, they have to pay Joe Burrow. They have to pay Jamar Chase. T. Higgins also wants to be paid like a wide receiver one. Well, you can't be paying two guys wide receiver one money and then paying your quarterback, money that you think because he's the franchise quarterback, he's at the top of the league. You can't be paying all of them. So we know the cap goes up every single year, but I'm like, come on, guys, go after T. Higgins. Go after T. Higgins. That's what I'm clipping onto for now, because that seems like a more distant possibility, but it seems more possible than D-Hop at this point.
I agree with that. I feel like T. Higgins is more realistic in the sense that you're right. They can't pay Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Like, they can't do it. And, whoever their tight end is, I forget at this moment. So, to me, this feels like the opportunity for Bill to make a move where you can send them like a third, fourth, maybe
they want
next
more than
year's,
that. They want more.
Maybe next year's first, and then a player. Like, there's more. Like, for instance, like, I'm spitting out nonsense, essentially. Whatever Bill comes up with, he will have a better time haggling and trying to make that deal work for T. Higgins than D-Hop. And it just makes more sense. He's younger, bigger, so it's a bigger target for Mac to throw to. We don't really have a lot of tall guys other than really tall Quan Thornton. And then Devontae Parker's kind of big. But, like, other than that...
They're the only two, I think, on the team right now that are over 6 feet.
Exactly.
Like, as receivers, I mean.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping for, and people still call me crazy because I'm like, T. Higgins, yay, because, the Bengals are like, we're not trading him, and I'm like, you guys aren't thinking about the future, though. Like, you're not thinking about how much money you're going to have to dish out, because then they also signed Orlando Brown for the offensive line, which they very much needed, but if you're going to keep going after these guys that you're going to have to pay a lot of money for, you're going to have to let somebody go, and if you're putting all your money in on Jamar Chase being your wide receiver one, which makes complete sense, then you're going to probably end up letting T. Higgins go. So they have him signed for 1 more year. I can't remember. Was he a first-round draft pick so he gets a 5th-year option? I don't remember, but I'll have to look.
Is T. Higgins first?
No. I don't remember. I don't think so.
so.
Well, I think, let me see. Because round 2. Okay, so no, he doesn't. That's good. So he's a free agent next year. So that at least helps the Patriots. They would just have to probably dish out a ton of money. But if you're looking for your wide receiver one that you don't have to necessarily worry about, then dish it out next year. If the draft doesn't look good this year for the very obvious go-to guy, then dish it out in free agency, because that's allegedly what they were said to be on par to do this year, that they weren't going to go with a wide receiver in the first round of the draft. They were going to go for a veteran. Well, if that's what you're going to do, take a tackle, going back to what we just said, take a tackle in round 1, sign a veteran next year, a veteran wide receiver next year to big money. because they have also a ton of money. They have like 175 million or something like that to spend next year. So they have a ton of money. Plus a quarterback under 1 more year of a contract next year. Then they can pick up his 5th-year option if they want to. So they're not having to worry about paying a quarterback a ton of money for at least 2 more years. So
that's huge. That is ideal for the Patriots, because like, imagine they had to deal with that bullshit now of trying to pay Mac. Like, we haven't even seen I don't think we've seen like a scratch of the surface of what Mac can do in the NFL, because he hasn't had a consistent offensive coordinator to guide him in the right direction. I mean, he's going outside of Alexandria to try to.
Right.
I knew you were gonna roll.
That's why you said it. That's why you said it.
Damn right, dude. Damn right.
But
from a cap perspective, I mean, the Patriots need to take advantage of the years of Mac's rookie contract that they have. If they wait until after Mac has proven himself completely as a great player in the NFL, they're going to not only have to pay Mac a lot of money, they're going to have less money to get the players that they need to surround Mac with to contend for a Super Bowl. And realistically, with the Patriots, as much as I'd love to be delusional over here, we're talking more on the time scale of 2-3 years from now at the least, as far as contention is concerned. It's a long game. It's, let Mac develop this year under some good offensive leadership and some good pieces. Give him a solid background. Get the Patriots back into a consistent playoff team type discussion, and then over the next couple of years, get the players you need to really contend for a title, rather than saying, all right, let's go all in this year with everything possible. The players and the money are just not there this year, and the stars are just not going to align, and it's just not realistic to get from the level the Patriots were at last year to a Super Bowl contending team. So it's okay to play the long game a little bit while still making sure the Patriots are at least competitive and in a better situation than last year, and in a situation to move forward.
And I was really hoping they were going to get him a good receiver this year, because we've seen the pattern of quarterbacks who didn't look great in their first 2 seasons get a wide receiver 1, like a game-changing wide receiver 1 in their 3rd year, aka Tua, aka Jalen Hurts, aka Josh Allen. All of them got a huge boost. What?
It could happen during the draft. Cab over here says the Eagles got Brown during the draft. Maybe the Pats could see. Maybe we're just waiting.
So it's possible. It's possible. I wouldn't be okay if they go tackle in the first round. I really wouldn't be mad if they traded their 2nd rounder 46, which is still a pretty good spot in the 2nd round, for T. Higgins. I wouldn't be mad about that. I know I believe that the Bengals were wanting a 1st rounder, but I would be like, bro, he didn't even go in the 1st round, so you're probably not going to get a 1st rounder for him, even if he is wide receiver 1 on basically any team in the league. Doesn't mean that he should cost that much. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. I would just like to see it, because people weren't thinking that Tua was going to be anything. People thought Jalen Hurts was a bust, and they were like, oh, no wonder why Matt got ahead of him or whatever. Or Josh Allen looked like a bust until he got Stephon Diggs. So I really wanted that to happen for Mac because of the recent pattern. So I'm hoping that maybe we can see something like that, whether it's the draft or maybe someone's going to surprise us this year with who they have. Like Kendrick Bourne, I think, can be great if he's given a chance and doesn't have a coach that holds a grudge against him for the end of time, apparently. But yeah, I would just like to see it, because I think that he hasn't gotten a proper chance, and I'm really excited about this year. Like, before the draft, I'm hoping that I'll be even more excited after the draft, but I'm so excited to have Bill O'Brien back. I'm so excited that they have Adrian Clem. I'm just so excited about the pieces that they've brought in, and I think that Mac has a much better shot this year. He might have a more collaborative effort with creating the new offense, and more of a good relationship with Bill O'Brien overall, that I think that he could thrive this year, and we could finally see why Mac was a 1st rounder and why San Francisco really weighed their options and drafting Mac Jones or drafting Trey Lance. I'm hoping that we are the ones that come out the victors, because as of right now, people are just slamming the Patriots, thinking that, the Bears fans were like, we won, guys, because we got Justin Fields, and Niners fans are like, we won because we got Trey Lance. I'm like,
well, Trey Lance might not even be a 49er.
Well,
in
but
a
also,
few weeks, if we've seen that report.
Let's not act like Justin Fields has done a whole lot for the Bears. I mean, I'm saying, like, he broke a couple records, but it's like he,
there you go.
Like there's not a whole lot. You can't act like he went to the playoffs in both seasons, and he's done this and he's done that, and Mac has done nothing. Like, it's just ridiculous.
If anything, Mac led his team to the playoffs his first year and got the Patriots really darn close in some games where they had no business being there. I mean, and Fields not only didn't make the playoffs this year, and I'm not saying that the Bears' problems are Fields' fault. There's a lot more at play. But at the same time, the Bears still had the worst record in the league. So we need to just like we're giving Fields all this benefit of the doubt, saying he'll get better players. When Mac has a honestly similarly terrible situation on the offensive roster last year, and still they were, if that aforementioned guy Naeem Hines hadn't had 2 return touchdowns, the Patriots may have been in the playoffs.
Well, and if they didn't have that giant mess up against the Raiders, they could have won that in overtime. Had they gotten that touchdown with Hunter Henry against the Vikings, they could have beaten the Vikings. Like, a lot of last year,
against the Bengals.
Exactly. Like, people are just looking so. This is why the thing is when people, they put so much stock into a record, and they just see a record 7-9 or whatever we were. Was it 7-10? 8-9. Okay, whatever. Something bad. I just knew it was bad. And that's all that they look at. And then I'm the person that's like, okay, but how did they win those games, and how did they lose those games? Because that matters just as much as the number. It doesn't matter that maybe they only lost 4 games, or it doesn't matter that they, lost more games than they won. You have to look at how that happened, because that matters. It could literally be one play. That's all it takes in football. One play, one mess up, one mistake, and you lose that game, but then you don't remember it because people only look at the record. And it's the last 2 years, that's what it's been. It was one play, one mess up, one bad defensive drive, and they got the loss. So, like, we very easily could have been at the top of the AFC, or at least closer to the top of the AFC last year, had they just not had like 4 or 5 games that literally came down to one thing. They didn't deserve to be, based off of everything. I wasn't saying that they were going to go very far in the playoffs, but to discount them or discount Mac when it was like, oh, 2 bad special team plays led to this. 2 bad defensive plays led to that. That has nothing to do with the offense. That has nothing to do with Mac. So stop like piling all of this on the wrong people.
Exactly. King Code at 21. I have to get this out.
King Cato. King Cato.
Oh, King Cato. Sorry, I went wrestling brain. The Pats aren't counting on Mac to be his team friendly with his contracts as Brady was, are they?
I don't know if they're even thinking about it at this moment. But
I don't think that's on their mind.
The way the market's going, they can't expect that. I mean, by the time he is up for a contract, which will be after his 5th year option, that's when they're going to be making 60-70 million a year. That's the way it is going right now. If we're already going 40-50 million a year, like Patrick Mahomes and whatever, that's top of the league. I mean, I'm not saying Mac Jones could get Patrick Mahomes money, but I'm just saying it's going to get worse every single year. The cap gets bit more every single year, though. So 50-60 million might not be too bad in 3 years.
It doesn't seem all that. It seems like forever ago, but it wasn't all that far back when Derek Carr earning $25 million a year was the highest contract in NFL history, and that title has rotated every single year.
Yep.
Bro, I totally forgot. And also, Derek Carr was the highest paid,
and he's on the Saints now. That's crazy.
When you're talking, he's earning similar money, like 24/7 or something like that, and it's a very mediocre and low contract now because of how much things have changed. but also when you're talking about Brady, and this is what I encourage Patriots fans to really think about when you're talking about Brady, you're talking about, yes, someone that worked well with Belichick and was in the perfect situation for him to become the player that he became, but also someone whose acumen, competitive fire, resilience, all these things were just outliers. And there is no part of Brady's career that you can say, oh, let's superimpose this on our current situation and make it happen. It's just not going to be that way. And that's not a knock on Mac. That's just a statement of you can't be Brady. And when you look at Mac's inherent competitive fire and his mentality, it's closer than you would think, this early in his career, just without the right situation to buoy him. But at the end of the day, instead of saying, oh, Mac didn't do what this, that, and the other that Brady did during his first 2 years, Mac is Mac, Brady is Brady. They're different people. But Mac, you have to appreciate what you have in Mac rather than if you as a Patriots fan are expecting Brady 2.0 to happen, it's not going to. And Bailey Zappi is not out there on the sidelines waiting for his opportunity to go, win a Super Bowl for us next year. That's just not happening.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And people also seem to forget, because most of the people that are like hoping or wanting a Brady 2.0 aren't even old enough to have, they probably weren't even a twinkle in their daddy's eye when Brady won his first Super Bowl. So why they think they're somehow Patriots experts or Tom Brady experts, I will never understand. But the game of football changes when Brady won his first Super Bowl in 2021. It is a vastly different game than it was in 2021 when Mac Jones was in his rookie season. So there's no comparison there. You can't compare the attitudes. Life is different. Not even just the game. Life is different. The way people react is different, because obviously we react to things differently. But I think that people just need to move on. Just let Mac be Mac. You don't have to like him. You don't have to cheer for him, but don't boo him. I think that's messed up too. You don't boo your own team.
Yeah.
Unless they're very obviously just being like, whatever,
Yeah.
Don't boo your own team. And don't hope
Soor
for the
and
worst for them either. That's the thing that's very odd to me.
Yeah.
Like, why would you root against your team because you don't like the quarterback? Like, that is weird. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
But
when Soor and I went to the Monday night game against the Bears, and you hear Zappy chants,
oh my God,
that was bizarre. It was I've had some weird experiences as a fan of sports in my life. That is up there in top 3.
It's embarrassing. Honestly, it's embarrassing. It plays right into how the online fans think that New England is. That's how, like, because the interpretation of how Patriots fans are, like, on Twitter is not actually how Patriots fans are, but it's so real to so many people because we spend so much time online. But doing that kind of thing, and then also it became after that game, Bailey Zappi trended every single Patriots game after that. So it might not have been chanting, you wouldn't hear the chants in the stadiums every single week, but it was on Twitter every single week. And I was like, guys, be better than that. Like, be better, please.
And to be honest, there was a split second during that game, like just a little sliver of a moment where both Pat, I, and Tyler were thinking, like, I know we kept saying that this isn't going to happen, but is it going to happen when Zappi led those 2 consecutive touchdown drives? And then it was that moment of coming down to earth, and it was all right, you know what? We had our little glimpse, little glimmer of hope. And it's that sobering realization that Brady 2.0 is just not going to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
And
unless you're San Francisco, and there's a lot of people who think Brock Purdy is apparently Brady 2.0.
San Francisco is a quarterback's heaven. Like, I could go in there and throw for 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions.
Yeah, we'd buy your jersey. We'd buy your jerseys.
I would wear a Vora 49ers jersey. I would rock that shit so hard.
I appreciate that.
Someone needs to be on the 49ers and be number 49. Do we have that? I feel like that would be kind of cool. I'm going to be jersey number 49.
Gotta be somebody.
Either that or the team's just retired it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what if they were like, you can't be number 49?
That's the fan.
But it's like, come on, that would be so fun. But anyway.
Let's comments before I get into the next topic here. I say Mac is very much up in the air. No one thought Mac would beat Cam for the. That's so different. I feel like it was kind of in the pudding that Mac could beat Cam Newton for the job, especially after Cam Newton's season where he didn't.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No, where he didn't throw for 10 touchdowns.
Let's not even go into the Cam conversation.
No, we're not.
I get trolled enough online.
I know, but I'm saying like that's it.
I think the difference for me is it's not that people thought that he couldn't beat Cam. I don't think that was the issue. I think it was more, at least in my eyes or from my interpretation, it was more so questioning whether Belichick would go with a rookie quarterback over a veteran. That was more of why I didn't think that Mac was going to start. Not necessarily because I didn't think Mac was good. Obviously, he was a first-round talent that most of the top 10 teams were looking at taking instead of the quarterbacks that they took. And some of them are wishing that they had because Jets. But I think it was more so about Belichick never goes with a rookie quarterback. He'd never start a rookie. Like they're going to go with Cam. And then if Cam flops, then they'll go with Mac. But they weren't going to just cut the veteran and go with the rookie. I think that was more of what it was. At least that's how I felt. And that's what I thought most people were. But if there were people out there who thought that he couldn't beat Cam, then I mean, I'm the biggest Cam fan there is, but let's be real here.
When you look at that competition between Mac and Cam, it was, you knew what Cam was because you had seen him last season, and you were kind of sensing that there was a ceiling to what Cam could possibly do with the Patriots organization. And with Mac, you weren't really sure what he was going to be. And every little moment where he kind of showed himself in a preseason game or in training camp and just like strengthened his case, especially when you knew what you had gotten from Cam Newton. In this case, it's, Bailey Zappi may have some unearthed potential that the Patriots could find, but the same is true of Mac. And when Mac has gotten... When Mac has shown, in his first season that when he's in a better situation, I don't even think his offensive situation that year was great either. But even then he did plenty, and then you take away so many aspects. I mean, Mac is going to have to work with, and I am plagiarizing one of your tweets, so I'm going to. Mac is going to be working with his third offensive coordinator in his third year, and it's almost not a fair situation because the other rookie quarterbacks that are succeeding and these youngsters that are being put in positions to succeed are seeing stability around them. Mm-hmm. And so when you see that happen and when you see Mac being given this kind of draw and you use that as a reason, use his performance in this unorthodox situation as a reason to put Zappi over him, we don't know what Mac can be yet. And until I have a better idea of what Mac can be, I'm not ready to bench him.
And that's how I feel. And it's funny because I feel like that's just like a normal reaction to what we've seen. But I get tomatoes thrown at me constantly because people think that it's just such a an outlandish way to think about it. And I'm like, but some people would have moved on from guys like, like the ones that I mentioned earlier. Josh Allen didn't look great after 2 years. Yeah, Tua didn't look good after 2 years. Jalen Hurts didn't. And then his third year, he went to the Super Bowl. So it's like, and they're in different situations, far different situations than Mac has. And for some reason, people thought he was going to have the ability to overcome bad coaching. But there's a hard transition from playing college football to the NFL. So going to a second coordinator in your second season who has no experience working with an offense, you expect him to overcome that and then also have his head on his shoulders and show absolutely no reaction, no frustration, no irritation, nothing, is like bonkers to me. And I have called people out too who said, well, he's such a crybaby. He's this, he's that. I'm like, how many tweets did you send out during a Patriots game last year complaining about Matt Patricia? Imagine working directly with Matt Patricia in a game. You can't handle it, and you're sitting there watching at home, tweeting your feelings away about how horrible he is, but you expect Mac Jones to be better than that, and he's working with him side by side. Please tell me how that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
and to your point, one of the criticisms, like one of the when you say life is different, went between 2001 and now. One of the big differences is that Mac is having to live in this era of intense and heavy social media criticism.
mm-hmm.
And when Patriots fans are this voracious in terms of like getting after Mac for every single poor play he makes, that kind of thing takes a toll on you mentally when you're not being given the liberty to have your own, lead the offense, even though the person leading the offense doesn't know what they're doing. That'll give you confidence issues. When you score a touchdown and and Matt Patricia yells at you for calling an audible, that'll sap your confidence. And the Patriots have just been doing thing after thing to sap Mac's confidence. And you can say that Brady wouldn't get a confidence sapped by things like this, but Brady did not have to do his rookie year in the age of Twitter as it is now. So if you're going to make those Mac Brady comparisons, which I don't think is a fair thing to do anyway, you have to incorporate things like this as well. And right now, some of the onus is going to be on the franchise to make Mac feel like he's cared about in the Patriots organization. But some of the onus is also going to be on the fans and the community and the Patriots organization. Jaylen Brown has already talked about what the Boston, like the kind of the harsh, criticize always, never be satisfied atmosphere of Boston sports, the kind of the toll that's taken on him. We don't want to lose Mac once he becomes a competent player, which he absolutely will, because the fans mistreated him when he was struggling.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. And that's the unfortunate part, is that the loudest fans are the age demographic that has never dealt with seeing their favorite teams lose. And so they don't know how to emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, like they can't handle it. And we live in this era now, especially with the new Twitter CEO, that allows anything and everything to be said on Twitter. So they say whatever they want and they get away with it, and there's no filter. So unfortunately, people don't realize that the people they are speaking to are also human beings who have feelings and care. And I would, it's the same thing like you say with Jaylen Brown. Like, you don't want to push a superstar out of your city because you're mad that they had a bad game, or you're mad that they didn't win something. It's like, there's so many things that are bigger in life than sports. And you shouldn't be nagging an athlete because you're angry about the result of a game or a poor performance. Like, it's just not that important. Even if we make this our whole life, like sports and wrestling is my entire life, I get very emotionally invested to it, to the point of like a Patriots loss sometimes ruins my day. But I would never tweet all these disgusting things or boo my team.
It'll ruin my week.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. A Super Bowl loss, please.
In the case of that wild card game that I went to against the Bills, it ruined like my month.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. I still have like PTSD from the Patriots losing the Super Bowl against the Giants the first time. I vividly hear my mother screaming no in such a baritone voice, because she was like, just the interception. Like, I remember exactly where I was sitting. I remember exactly how it sounds. And it's like, what, 15, 16 years later?
There's double digits.
Yep. But the pain remains. The pain remains.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny when you see Asante Samuel talk about how it's not good to play for Bill Belichick. You can't talk.
No, I don't. I don't put any substance into that. We're talking a lot of like, things that kind of annoy us, whatever. I'm feeling like we end the show with like a funny little what grinds our gears about the Patriots off season. So we'll start with
what we're excited about.
No, what grinds your gears? Like, what gets you all like, riled up, we'll say, about the Patriots off season so far.
I've talked a lot, so I'm waiting.
You go first, Pat.
Champs going first? Wow, I love this. All right, my thing is that you don't hear anything. I feel like for a team that needs a little bit of a facelift right now, we haven't heard, there hasn't been that one big move. And that's all that I'm really asking for, is just one big move to establish that you are going in the right direction for that, I would say, legitimate playoff push. I'm not saying go out and sell the farm, get everyone, whatever, but at least one move to kind of give the fans a little hope that there's something in the works. For me, it's okay that the D-Hop thing fell through. We all have dreams, and sometimes dreams are shattered. But go out and get, another guy, maybe a step below a T. Higgins, who, it's someone that's at least been better than what you have right now, because the wide receiver core that you have, I mean, for God's sakes, Jacoby Myers even left, and he was the most consistent thing about the entire passing offense. It's nice that Bill O'Brien came in. I feel like that's not like a hip hip hooray. That's like, all right, finally type of reaction. So for me to get that big name or just at least a game changer before the draft, I mean, this could all be hogwash, because in a couple weeks when they do the draft and, maybe a move happens and now I'm satisfied. But for now, like, I would have liked something, just one thing that gets me like, all right, they're going to be a contender. But no, I feel like we're all just talking in this space of like, I don't know. I'm just not happy with it so far.
Yeah. I've been describing this offseason a lot as vanilla. And like, yeah, it feels like when you're eating like a really good bowl of vanilla ice cream, it's like, it's creamy. It's like well flavored. It's generally sweet. Like you're enjoying it. But get me some sprinkles, put some Oreos on top, like get me some cookie dough in there, like something exciting, something flavorful, like, and it's part of this is just zest as a fan, but it's also the fact that it feels like the NFL today, Belichick could have gotten away with this kind of offseason 10 years ago. Because it wasn't a superstar-driven league. You had your superstars, but you could win with strategy and depth. And those are still extremely important aspects to the game. But now that star power is important. You see, Tyreek Hill has a very simple and pure weapon, his speed. And other than that, like his hands are fine. His route running is fine. They're good. But he has one pure weapon that nobody can catch up with and nobody can beat. You've got players like that. Derrick Henry is the same way. It's these X factors. It's these differentiators. And the Patriots just don't have those weapons on either side of the ball that just scare you, with the exception, obviously, on the defensive side of Judon. But other than that, we've got some great linebackers, great cornerbacks, but nobody that just makes you shiver. And I guess what grinds my gears is the fact that our rivals have been doing those moves. They've been getting those players that make you shiver. Miami with Jalen Ramsey, the Bills have had so many good acquisitions this offseason. I mean, the Jets potentially with Rodgers and a number of other good receiver prospects to go with him, to the point where even if they don't get Rodgers, they've been building this hypothetical team around Rodgers that's going to be good with whoever they have at quarterback, other than Zach Wilson, obviously.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that was part of why this offseason has been disappointing for a lot of people, because you thought that at least they were going to try and keep up with what was going on in their division, at least that. And that is frustrating. I try to stay optimistic, but it is getting a little bit more difficult, because you knew that they didn't have a ton of money to spend. So you knew it wasn't going to be the 2021 off season where they were just throwing money at everybody. So that's going to happen next year. But this yeah, you're making all these moves to make the team better, but then you're not bringing in talent that makes the team better. Like, as great as, people are upset, like I saw in the comments, that Juju Smith-Schuster was signed. Okay, well, he's a little bit of a better player than Jacoby Myers on paper. So at least we have like a lateral move there. Mike Gesicki is bringing in another tight end, but they already talked about they're going to use him at receiver. So it's like, okay, bye Jonnu, but we still don't have dual tight ends. So it's like some of these moves are fine, but they're not the moves that you would expect this year. You were hoping for like, go for, like DeAndre Hopkins, like we were talking about, T. Higgins, go for somebody, because that's what all these other teams have been doing, especially your direct competition. And at this point, it just doesn't seem like they're even considering it. Because like, how you started it, I don't really mind about not hearing a whole lot about what the Patriots are doing. I feel like last year we were hearing like too much about what they were doing, and it was a lot because of Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. So I'm fine with like Bill O'Brien being like, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do with our offense. Like, I would be stupid to tell you. I'm like, yes, exactly. King. Yes, this is the type of energy that we need, because we can't be throwing the playbook to everybody. So I'm glad about that aspect. But yeah, I was expecting more. And maybe we'll see stuff at the draft. Maybe they'll do something completely unexpected. Maybe that's wishful thinking. I don't know, but yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, please. That would be nice. And I hope something happens, just because it's nice. I know Juju's on the team now, and that's great, but he's really just been a wide receiver 2, maybe a 1B on a good day when he was in Pittsburgh. I just haven't seen that yet, and I really would like to see Mac Jones get that true one that he can rely on, like an Edelman in a way. It'd be nice to see that, but we'll have to see, and we'll have to find out. We got the draft coming up, so that might be a sign of better things to come. But before that happens, we got to say thank you to our peeps for tuning in to this episode of the Gillette Gazette. Sarah, thank you for hopping into the Yard of Streams with us and talking Pats. And you know what? Let's go off. Get on your soapbox and promote yourself right now.
Well, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/SmarshallXO, SMarshallXO, Twitter, SmarshXO, TikTok, SmarshXO, Instagram. I'm not really on it, so I'm not even going to promote it because I'm like never on Instagram. But I'm trying to bring back more Patriots content to my channel. I'm going to be trying to upload that to my TikTok as well, because it's predominantly been wrestling. So, yeah, but make sure to check out my articles on Musket Fire as well. Lots of stuff. I had 3 out today.
Yeah, you're writing up a storm. You're going crazy with it. Give her the views. It's good shit that you're producing.
Yeah, 48 last month. I'm already over 30 for this
incredible
month. So we're shooting for record high views since I joined the site. So help a girl out,
Help a girl. We can do that. Help you out. Go follow her by helping her out. And then follow us in the meantime. Okay. Follow the champ at Pat_Pitts on Twitter and at Soor Bora on Twitter as well. And then follow me on Instagram at Pitsy35. I just posted. My buddy ran the marathon. One of my best friends from high school just ran the marathon. Gave a post. Unbelievable. The fact that someone runs 26.2 miles for fun is just mind-boggling to me. But I gave a post to that. Shout out Jimmy Kronk. So go check that out on Instagram, Pitsy35. And then obviously the show is presented by Stadium Rant. So give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Stadium Rant HQ, and go hit that subscribe button on YouTube to the Stadium Rant YouTube. Type that in the search bar. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. Let us know what you want to hear about. We talk about what grinds our gears for the Patriots offseason. Maybe next time you give a comment, we talk about what's made us happy. It's made us smile. But that's on you to make that moment happen. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We will see you next episode.